Hi guys, welcome back to Simply Watching TV. If this is your first video, my name is Jade and this is Jade Simply Watch. So we are going over Sex and the City and Girlfriends and reviewing most episodes. I made the announcement, I think maybe a video or two back, saying that I was just gonna do like episodes where I don't know, it was good conversation. I know Sex and the City has like a lot more episodes where there are more things happening. Sometimes Girlfriends has like filler episodes where it's kind of just like not much is really going on. Like, for example, I skipped the Halloween episode just because there wasn't one, it was past Halloween. So I think that was kind of like, just off theme. But another reason was because there wasn't really much going on. It was just Joan pranking and her friends pranking William and William pranking her back. And it's just like, okay, that's cute. But like, there was no drama. There was like no like big discussions about like anything. So it wasn't really much for me to like really review. So I'm just gonna like basically, if the episode doesn't have like really, I don't want to say thought-provoking, but if it doesn't have like maybe like a decent, at least one decent like topic to kind of really like talk about and discuss and review, then I probably won't watch it and I'll just skip and go to the next episode. And it shouldn't be too much. And another reason why I do that is just because like once we start like getting into, especially for Girlfriends, once we start getting into like the thick storylines, these episodes aren't really gonna matter. Like, you're not gonna care about like nothing from the Halloween episode is going to tell you or give you or foreshadow anything that happens with any of Joan's like relationships, really. I don't know. So I decided to like skip those. Sex and the City kind of has more like meatier episodes just because she runs an advice column, not an advice column, but she runs like a sex column. So like she's talking about men, relationships, women, and things like that. So she constantly has like a topic of discussion that's like interesting to talk about, especially when it comes to dating and things like that. So with that being said, this week we are going to be talking about Sex and the City season 1 episode 6, Secret Sex. So this is the episode where her and Big are supposed to have their first big date. And they kind of get into the discussion, her and her friends, and obviously in her column, they kind of get into the discussion, like, should you have sex on the first date or should you just kind of wait? And does it really depend on if you see this particular relationship going further or not? Like, and all those things that go into, I guess, that decision making for that. So, sorry, please excuse my nail that is not there. That's really raggedy. But anywho, so the scene the scene opens up with her doing a photo shoot. First of all, let's just talk about it. Like, her hair gave, like, it just, I love Carrie's like curly kind of bob-ish, like short blonde. I love that dirty blonde. I like it when it's messy. I like it when it's curled up. Like, it was so cute on her. So it ate, and then she was wearing this like naked-y dress, which is gonna be a whole different topic of conversation in the show itself. So she's doing this photo shoot and stuff like that. Then we get into the fact that she's going to have her first date with Big. And so when she's at the photo shoot, they said she could keep the dress that she was that she was posing in. Mind you, this photo shoot, this picture is going to be on, like, when buses have those like kind of billboardy signs like on the side of them, this is where it's going to be. So it was a pretty big thing because public transportation is big in New York. So a lot of people are going to see this. And then they said she could keep the dress that she was in, but it wasn't like no ball gown or anything. Like, it was like one of those t-shirt dresses. Mind you, she's the queen of a t-shirt dress. Like, that girl can walk out in a t-shirt dress and some strappies with a purse and call it a day. Like, it just serves on her. Like, she just looks so good. So she decided that that's what she was going to wear to her first date with Big, right? So her friends come over and they're kind of just like waiting with her until Big like picks her up. And, they look at her and stuff like that, and they're instantly judging the dress. I mean, it is cute on her. Of course, Samantha approves. But Miranda and Charlotte are just like, You gonna wear that like on that date? And of course, that's when it opens up the whole sex on the first date thing. I didn't know. Now I just thought it was a regular t-shirt dress. I didn't know the back of that thing was like, okay. But again, she serves like in the strappies, and then she puts a fur coat on. It just does something. You know what I mean? It's a little. So of course, Charlotte is trying to like convince her, like, no, you do not need to sleep with him on the first day. You want this to go somewhere. You want him to take you seriously. Like, you can't sleep with him, right? Samantha's just like, girl, do what you want to do. Like, isn't it better to just like find out if it's good or not, like before you commit and before you be all emotionally involved and stuff? And again, I think Miranda's kind of in the middle. Like, you know, I'm not going to tell you to be a floozy, but then again, I'm also not going to tell you that you need to wait for marriage. Like, so they just have that whole big conundrum. Conundrum? Is that the word I wanted to use? I don't know. But Carrie is kind of just like thinking to herself, like, I don't know, should I, shouldn't I? So he picks her up. Big is outside waiting for her in the car, taxi, whatever. And he picks her up, and he even know, like, that's the first thing he says to her. And he's like, interesting dress. And she's just like, meaning like what? Like, do you like it or do you? And so he's just always like that though. He just never gives like a definite answer. It's always a riddle with him. It's always, you gotta be wary of like people like that. Why nobody ever gets clarity with you. It's always riddles. And to me, it's gonna like pop up again later. But it's just, I don't know. To me, I just feel like she felt so confused with him, but like liked it. So she was like, whatever, like, you know, I mean, she looked good. And so he was like, you know, I can contain myself, whatever. And they start making out in the back of the car. Next thing you know, she done gave it up. She done gave it up. I mean, are we really surprised? Are we really surprised? Like she said before she even left, she was dying to sleep with him. So it's like, on one hand, it's kind of like, well, girl, do it. Like, you know, like just figure it out. It's not that deep. But then on the other hand, it's like, well, if you're not going to keep your emotions in check, which she was unable to do, then do you really think that that's the smartest thing to do? You probably just like should maybe, I don't know, just wait it out just a little bit, right? So after they seal the deal and stuff like that, mind you, so they're only on the floor. She is like, I refuse to speak first. She spoke first. And she's like, and if he never calls me back, then I'll just remember him fondly of being a butt or something like that, right? So, so she's like, she starts talking and she's just like, can you believe it? Oh my God, whatever. And so he makes not a comment, but he's just like obviously uncomfortable on the floor. I don't know. Maybe it's just because I just don't like Big, but his just reaction to them, you know, he's not smitten enough with her for me to convince me that this is the relationship that both of them should have been in. And so he's just like, he just says like a quick like one-liner, like, oh yeah, it was amazing. You want to get some food? Like, I mean, I get it, hunger, but so not très romantique. So they go to this Chinese place and she's in her dress and she's in the fur coat and her hair is in like a little relaxed like ponytail. She's in the strappies, right? And so they're eating at this place and she sees a friend that she used to date, but they never slept together, right? So she sees him out with he's on a date himself, right? So she goes and says hi. Mind you, the jacket by now off, the fur coat is off. So she's just in the dress, the back doing what the back does. And she walks over and she's like, oh my God, hi, how are you? Blah, blah, blah. And he's obviously like goo goo gaga over her in this dress, right? So the date doesn't look bothered because one, she knows who Carrie Bradshaw is, but also, no, I think that's it. I just think she's like, oh my God, it's Carrie Bradshaw. So like, I don't think she really noticed that he was like, you know, drooling over her. She gonna ask this man, he was like, oh, you look great. She was like, oh, I don't look too naked. Why would you ask somebody if you look too naked and he on a date? And he's like, no, of course. He said something. It was something. I forget the line. It was something like, I want to say it was like not naked enough or so, or hardly or something. But I was just like, you really said that. And of course the girl don't check him or even make a look, right? And so she introduces herself like, oh, I'm Carrie. And she's like, oh, I'm so great to meet you. He cuts her off and is like, so I'll call you to Carrie. What? Instantly you knew something was up then, right? So of course she doesn't say anything then and there, but she took note of that. Like, it's something like you being really weird about this, right? So then sorry, I had to look at my notes because there'd be a lot going on in this show. Miranda meets a guy and in her like Taibo type something. Oh no, it's kickboxing. I'm sorry. They really used to do that a lot. Like if you pay attention to like 90s, early 2000s movies and shows that took place in New York or LA, they was always like going to the gym, kickboxing, going back to their apartment, meeting people all willy-nilly, going back to their apartment. And it's just like, how old are y'all? Like what kind of grown-up lives are you guys living? I think in their sake they're in their 30s, but it's just like, okay, like I almost freaked out because I was like, I know they're not in their 20s doing all this. Like this is grown people stuff. Like they can't be in their 20s doing all. Miranda's going down to kickboxing, going back, she's a lawyer, going back to her apartment, meeting men, sleeping over their apartment, and in her 20s. But no, she is like 30 something. They're all in their 30s. So okay, but I just, side note, like they always do cute like little like grown-up things, and I think that's cool. But anyway, so she meets this guy in her kickboxing class and she kicks him in the face. Okay. Like what's tea? So of course he's intrigued by that, and so they start like talking and walking, and he's just like, it obviously leads to them sleeping together and stuff like that. So that's cool. But then it goes back to, so they're enamored by each other. They sleep together, but then we're going to get back to Miranda, right? So we're back to Carrie, and she's talking to her guy friend that she saw in the Chinese food place. And, basically they're talking about the girl that he was on a date with. Her name is Libby, and he met her at some like cheese place or something like that, right? But you should see the way he talks about her. Like he just like kind of lit up when he was describing her and stuff like that, right? So Carrie is just like, oh, okay, well, what's the problem? Like, because he's just like, oh, I don't know if I don't see myself with her. All because she wasn't pretty. And this is why men might be not the most like intellectual species. I mean, I'm just saying, because what are you talking about? Like he was like, I can just be with her, like I can just enjoy myself, she's smart, she's this, she's that, and he's just like, oh, we don't have that much in common. So what y'all be talking about then? What do y'all be talking about? Like, it's just ridiculous to me. It just didn't make any sense, right? And so of course that left Carrie kind of in a little thing, because she's just like, she has all this, right, that he's attracted to. Libby had all these characteristics that he like really liked about her, but it still wasn't enough. And it's just like, because the girl wasn't pretty. And he even said like, she's not beautiful. So he's like embarrassed to like be seen with her. Mind you, this girl's like rocking his socks. Like, what else does a girl got to do? Like, because she's not a supermodel? Like, that's whack. That's whack. Please tell me, of the supermodels that you've dated until this point, have they? No. And you know why? Because he even said it. It was the best lay of his life. And it didn't look like he connected with other people the way he connected with her, because he would have said that. So mind you, he can't get over the fact that he's embarrassed. He won't introduce her to his friends. He doesn't want to take her around. So now Carrie is like trying to apply that same logic to her own situation with Big. Like she's just like, why is he like, does he not want to, like, even after they slept together, she was just like, why did he take me out to the Chinese restaurant? Did he not want me to spend a night? And it's just like, girl, you're already overthinking with this man. You already contemplating life. Like, come on. So I gotta look at my notes again. Sorry, y'all. So, she's talking about it with the girls. She didn't like wrote about it in her blog. And Charlotte shares a little tidbit. Of course, like all the girls know that she slept with him on the first date. He hasn't called her since. And to me, this is ridiculous. Like, it's just some games with Big that I just can't do. So she's talking to them, and Charlotte shares a little tidbit about how she fell in love with not fell in love, that's kind of deep. She fell in lust with some rabbi. Not Charlotte doing the rabbi over some art. That's one thing that girl will do. She's like, so, like, to me, anybody with a Michael's subscription, she is going to remove the clothes for. Like, skirt gone. If you can lift up a paintbrush and do something with it. Like, that rabbi wasn't even cute. I mean, like, how did you find him like, how was you turned? I don't know. It has to be like the love of the art, because she did that same thing with that old guy. Well, she didn't sleep with him, but she took her clothes off and let him paint her. And it's like, you doing all this for the art? Like, it has to be for the art. It can't be for no, because y'all don't even be having meaningful conversation about nothing else. It has to be the art. Charlotte be tickling me, man. Like, I promise you, right? Oh yeah, I have another no going, sorry. Charlotte be tickling me. So, she shares that piece of, like, she shares that story, that memory. And so they were like, why didn't you introduce him to us? And she was like, well, I knew I couldn't be with him, and, like, he couldn't be with me because of our differences, and I was embarrassed, and blah, blah, blah. Charlotte is one of those, what will the people say? She actually said that. She was like, what would people think? And it's just like, the same people who ain't paying a nan bill, the same people who ain't supported nan thing you've done, the same people who could care less about anything that you do, they only gonna talk about it for 2 seconds and they gonna be gone in the wind with their own stuff. But what would the people think? I can't. Not people like Charlotte. I can't. Like, do what you want to do, because you didn't care what the people thought about you sleeping with him and then you sharing this story. Did you? And who are the people? You're talking about your friends, your 3 homegirls who wouldn't have judged you for nothing in the world? What would the people think? Don't get me started on Charlotte. Please. I can't do Charlotte. I can't do it. So she goes back. She's walking with Big. Oh, no. So Big finally calls her, right? So she's, of course, grinning ear to ear. Why? To me, even though he called her, it was still a game being played, because why did you wait so long? I just can't do it with Big, right? It sounds petty, but it's not. Like, to me, he's very on his terms. I'll call you on my terms. We'll go on a date on my terms. We'll go on a date, but we'll go where I want to go. What I want, blah, 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 blah. Right? So he finally calls her, and they're walking in New York, and they run into one of his old friends. And so it's really awkward, actually. They're saying hi, they're asking how he is, he's asking how they are. And the guy even looks at Carrie like, aren't you gonna introduce us? But of course nobody says anything, because, like, who says that? And Carrie doesn't say anything. She's just like standing there like, aren't you gonna introduce me? And so he's like, all right, well, I'll see you later. Doesn't introduce her at all, right? So Carrie asks, like, oh, who is that? And he's just like, oh, it's some guy he went skiing with, I think, one time or something. Honestly, in his description, I will give Big this one thing. In his description of the guy, he didn't sound that important. But then again, I have to give him, like, one thing, but like a half of a thing, because what if he was just doing that to try to play off the fact that, oh, well, I didn't introduce you because he wasn't that important. I don't even know who he is like that. So why would I introduce you? So, you know how many not irrelevant people I've been introduced to? It don't matter that you've met once. It don't matter. It doesn't matter. I mean, but granted, then again, because did the guy introduce the person he was with to Big? I don't remember, actually. But the point is, it bothered Carrie, like, a lot. Especially the fact that they went to the Chinese restaurant, right? So now she's back to thinking about her friend. And she's like, oh my God, let me call him. She asked him, why did you take Libby to the Chinese restaurant? And he was like, he flat out said it. He didn't, like, beat around the bush or nothing. Basically, he came out and said, because I'm embarrassed to be with her. And I know I'm not going to run into anybody I know going there. And it's like underground. It's in the basement. You have to know a passcode to get in. And I hate seeing her. So I took her there because I know she's the dog face girl, but I wanted to do her after. So that's why I took her. I mean, and he wasn't bad looking, but let's be real. Like, you're not no GQ. So it's like you hung up on the fact that she's like not conventionally attractive. And that girl wasn't ugly, okay? She had a wide face. Her hair was curly and pretty. She had pretty teeth, pretty skin. Like it was like she didn't have no crazy acne or anything. So it's like you to be tripping about like, oh, she's ugly. No, he never called her ugly. Oh, she's not beautiful. Babe, have you seen yourself? Like, get real. Mind you, we're back to Miranda and her boy toy. And she's over his apartment. Now, he has a banging loft. I've always wanted a New York loft. 2-story, exposed brick, high ceiling. I've always wanted a New York loft. But whatever. We'll let that go because I probably will never get one. But she's in his apartment. He has to go to work, I think, or something like that, right? And so she's like, oh, I can leave. I can go. And then he's like, no, just stay here and make yourself comfortable. It is what it is. The dream, you know, to have nothing to do and for a man to just be like, oh, yeah, just stay at my place. And it'd be like a nice place, you know? So she starts, as soon as he leaves, she starts snooping around his apartment. Okay, yeah, maybe for like clues if he was married or had kids that he wasn't trying to tell nobody or something. So she's snooping around and she stumbles upon a tape. And it's a tape. It's one of them tapes. Now, it's not like perverted. This is weird. I'm like, yeah, I have the ick tape. But it's one of those like, oh, you have a fetish tape that might give me the ick. Because it kind of gave her the ick. So she takes it, though. Like, she takes the tape and she's watching it with Carrie. She's watching the tape with Carrie. And I get, like, having the ick about somebody's fetish because like sometimes you're just not into stuff that other people are into, or like some things turn people on that you just like could not even wrap your head around. I get that. But I don't think, honestly, the type of fetish it was like a spanking fetish. But to me, I don't think like that's like, oh my God, like no, like get away from me. You know what I mean? Like I said, it wasn't like weird, perverted, creepy type like. So, and clearly it was a hidden tape, like, and y'all already slept together. So it's not like, well, I don't know, maybe he could have wanted to introduce it later. But at the time, it wasn't like he was trying to do it to you. Like, maybe he just liked watching that or whatever. And so she was just like, oh, I don't know how to feel and like, stuff like that or whatever. But here's the thing, right? So she brings it up to him one time when they're on a date, and she brings it up kind of like as a joke. Don't you know this man ignored her and like never spoke to her again? He never called her back. Like, he never called her back. He never hung out with her again. He never did anything. He never saw her at the gym. You stopped going to the gym. You stopped going to your kickboxing class because I found out. But here's tea. First of all, I don't think it was all that smart for her to bring that up. Let me tell you why. 2 reasons. You had, like, for you to find that out, you had to have been snooping. So now he knows 2 things. You're nosy, and nosy to the fact that you'll snoop through my stuff. And 2, you making fun of me about something that I'm obviously not like comfortable sharing with you yet. Like, you found that out. Like, I didn't tell you and now you're joking about it with me. You found that out because you went through my stuff while I let you in my I trusted you in my apartment and you went through my stuff. And 1, you don't even care that I know you went through my stuff because now you're trying to tell me about something that I know was hidden in a drawer, under a sock, wrapped in some bubble wrap with the top over it. And now you know. So I know you were snooping. To me, it just didn't make sense. And again, like I said, maybe he's embarrassed by it, or it's like one of those fetishes that you really just don't even want. Like, it's one of those things. I think people can have a fetish that they like never want to like actually do themselves. Is that a thing? Or like, I don't know. Or maybe they're good. Like, I don't have to have it happen to me, or I don't have to want to do it. I just want to watch it, and that's my thing. And I don't want to like bring it up or nothing. And I think maybe he felt a little uncomfortable and she was just like doing too much. But whatever the case is, I guess she'll never figure out his true feelings about it because, like I said, that man didn't call her for nothing. That was crazy. But you know what is hilarious? You know who else like got it served to them on this episode? So they go and they're standing near the bus stop, that the bus that has Carrie's photo on it. That's like the bus stop where that bus is going to stop at. I don't know. They're standing there and they're drinking champagne and they're waiting. Of course, she invites Big and Big gives her some excuse of why he can't go, loser. And so she even tells him like, oh, I wanted to introduce you to some friends. And he's just like, oh, well, if you get lonely, I'm so-and-so. But that ain't what I said. I said I want to introduce you to, so you see how he just didn't even acknowledge the fact that she wanted to introduce him to friends of hers? That's what I'm talking about. So they're standing there waiting or whatever, and her friend, the guy who was on a date, comes to the thing, and he's like, oh, did I miss it? And she's like, no, or whatever, right? So she wanted him to bring Libby, and he tells her, no, Libby dumped me. And she's like, what? Like, I did not see that coming. I didn't have Libby dumping you on my bingo card. And he was like, yeah, she told me that she couldn't deal with my lack of intimacy, fear of intimacy, fear of whatever. And she met somebody else. I said, serves you right. You were sitting up here this whole time, loved everything about that girl, and didn't want to take her out and show her a good time because she wasn't cute. Like, get real. That's what you get. So now you back to the drawing board, mister. And Libby is on with somebody who is going to show her off to everybody. And rightfully so. That's what she deserves. Like, play with somebody else. Stupid. So, she, of course, is mad at Big. And she goes off on him after. Oh, that's another thing. That was probably one of them juvenile delinquents down in the inner city that drew that male organ on the side of the bus. Why would y'all do that? That just, I don't know. That was just, it hurt her feelings though. She was crying. I would have cried too though, because like I was excited for this and now I'm the laughing stock. But the title was Carrie Bradshaw Knows Good, and you was like sprawled out on the thing. Like I just on the side of a bus. I don't know. Like it just, not saying that was bound to happen, but again, on a bus with a bunch of people who play entirely too much, like, no, that was definitely gonna happen. I'm sorry. So, okay, now we're back to her going to Big's, and she's irritated because he took her to the Chinese underground, low down, dirty restaurant that don't nobody frequent. It's always empty when they go in there too. Like, that's crazy. But apparently it has the best Chinese food. Anyway, she's mad because he took him there. She's mad because he doesn't introduce her to his friends. She's mad because he didn't show up to watch her photo on the bus stop and meet her friends. I would have these same feelings, and I probably just would have ghosted him. To be honest, I probably would have just ghosted him because, like, don't play with me. But no, she has to like go off on him and stuff like that. And of course he has an excuse for everything. Apparently he didn't remember the guy's name. That's why he didn't introduce them. But there's ways to get around that. Because why couldn't you just say, oh, I want you to meet somebody. This is Carrie. And then he probably would have been like, oh, Carrie, so-and-so. And then, boop, remembered the name. So, no, that's wrong. Try it again. So the second one, he's like, oh, they have the best Chinese food in town. That's why I took you there. Okay, but twice in like less than a month or less than 3 weeks. Like, you don't crave Chinese food this much. Stop it. And of all the restaurants, this is New York. Like, really? This is the best Chinese food in all of New York? And then he's like, oh, and then I had tickets to this game. So why you didn't tell her that? Because I was there when she told you, oh, I want you to come to the so-and-so and meet my friends. You didn't say, oh, dang, I have tickets. But what if I meet him another time? Like, to me, all his excuses, they were, what is it? They were good alibis. but not good enough, because there were so many things you could have done and could have said that would have made it seem like you were trying to actually take this serious, right? But whatever, she falls for all the excuses and she's like back to square one, smitten in his arms at the end of the episode. Whatever, girl. Like, she's gonna, let me tell you something. For those who have seen it, you know exactly what I'm talking about. This is the start to a very, very, very long road between Carrie and Mr. Big. Like, too long of the road. It should have been a dead end a long time. It should have been dead end at least on this episode. But no, it's not. It's a very long road. For those of you who haven't seen it, I'm telling you, it's going to be a very long road between Carrie and Mr. Big. And if you're like me and who likes to watch TV shows that involve complicated, ridiculous at times relationships, then you'll love it. You'll love it. You'll love like every episode between, because that's really what hooked me. It was the dysfunction between Carrie and Mr. Big and his games that she was willing to play. Because he played them. He played a lot of them. So that was the review. Carrie lost her mind backwards and forwards with this man and slept with him. But I mean, good for her. Like, as far as doing that, she should have done that and got out of there. But okay, fine. Miranda, try not to snoop and run your mouth. If you're gonna snoop, at least keep it real secret. That wouldn't have came out unless he told me. You know, snoop and close your mouth. Like, why did no? Samantha, you didn't really do nothing. And Charlotte, stop sleeping with the rabbis. I had fun with this one. This one was a good one. This one was a good episode. Like I said, they have a lot of good stuff to talk about. Next video will be Girlfriends, and then the next video will be Sex and the City season 1 episode 7. I'm talking about episode 7. Let me know what you guys think of this episode. Comments, like, agree, don't agree, who's in the wrong, who's in the right, and we'll discuss. Bye, guys.